Yeah, there's other apps that the guys have all just learned to enjoy having with them all the time. Most, even if they're not carrying the iPad everywhere, almost, I guess all of our foremen now have some version of a smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or a Droid or whatever. And so we, voltage drop calculations, wire sizing, apps that help us figure out, the geometry of a conduit bends. Just there's so many things like that are quick resources now, really quick resources that we can access anywhere, and you can just see the efficiency, that brings to the group. And I think the communications has become more efficient, more professional. I was teasing about the Nextel, and I can kind of remember when we had those things, and everyone sounded, my dad's a truck driver, so I can say this. We all sound like a bunch of truck drivers yelling at each other on a CD. That's gone. We can now discreetly text each other and have communications that's appropriate for when you're in a meeting, and when you're in a customer's facility, you're not being loud, and yet it's convenient, it's quick, it's all those things that Direct Connect was, but it's just more discreet, and we like that. Email, I think, has been huge. Having access to it all the time. I just, appreciate, just the efficiency it's brought to the whole group.
Another thing I've been trying to teach Matt a little bit more about for him organizing his thoughts is, is OneNote. It's an app. I don't know how many of you have used it. I use it a lot of times when I'm going through a training because you can take screenshots, so I'll have the webinar on one side and OneNote on the other side when I'm going through a webinar, and I can take screenshots of the PowerPoint that they're sharing, type my own notes. This is just a clipping from a webinar that I was taking, but one thing that I would like to see our foremen do more is punch list type sharing, because you can actually use your iPad, open up OneNote, take a picture of something, make a note about it, and then you can share that with your electricians. Hey, these are the punch lists, the items we need to go through, and having that visual aid for them instead of just using words like up in the second floor, there's this one thing we need to address. Instead, you can use photographs and images, and it also helps just, I know a lot of guys in construction use legal pads and they have all these different notes and then they're flipping through them. This is an easier way to store that, and it doesn't get coffee spilled on it or dust, foundry dust on it.
Well, it still gets coffee spilled on it, but it's alright for the most part. You can make a checklist. You take these pictures, you have your punch list item, and you can put a checkbox there, and then someone that's going through it later can check it, and that's shared in real time. So we've really enjoyed that too. I think, the big thing from my perspective is, to you guys, is having the patience to work with the crews to get this implemented. I can tell you, coming out of high school, especially in that time period where computers were just they were in the schools, I wasn't the type of student that was, preparing myself to run off to college. I was, pretty interested in getting out and working and doing my thing, and so I didn't have there wasn't a big draw to me, to technology, and it's been a slow process to learn it. I remember, probably 15 years ago or now, SECCO, gave me one of the first big clunky laptops I had. It must have been absolutely painful for my project manager to watch me try to type. It probably was funny, but it was probably painful because he was paying me to be that inefficient at something. And but he hung in there. He helped me, got me some training, and I think we're going to have to continue to keep that in mind. We still have foremen, a lot of them my age, near around 40 years old, that, man, they got a tablet and a pencil that they think works just fine, and they don't know why we need to change anything now. The younger guys, the apprentices that are coming up, now these kids have grown up with computers and tablets, and that's how they communicate. I mean, they talk to each other more on Facebook than they do in person, so it's getting easier as that generation comes in, but I think, be patient with the guys like me and, really support them. Get someone like Amy that's going to be their center point and someone that they can trust not to, make them feel stupid. and they'll realize in time that, hey, this makes me more efficient. I like this because, we're practical people. We want our jobs to be easier, more efficient, more productive, and we'll adopt it.
That's the big thing, is letting them know the benefits of if they implement this, what benefit is it going to be for them? And also, first of all, to implement it, you need to get the guys the tools that they have. All of our foremen now have a smartphone and a laptop that they use pretty readily. But once we did that, the big thing for me was, okay, they have these smartphones, but if they're using them just like regular cell phones, there's no real benefit. And so that's where I started to do trainings. We do it pretty much every other month. We get all the foremen in, and we go over a lot of stuff, but I always get in a portion where we're training them on different things that they can do to help them become more technology proficient. And it does take some patience, and there's sometimes resistance because it's not what they're used to, and some people just don't like change. But if you can really emphasize the benefit, that's where they're going to see, yes, this will save me time and headaches, and that's the best way to implement.
We're so used to being so good at stuff that we don't like to feel incompetent. So, you know, it's an ego thing. Someone mentioned putting your ego on a table earlier, or at the door earlier, and that's really the truth. We got to be willing to learn, and I think most guys will if they're supported. So that's. Is that it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we want to emphasize is just that technology doesn't have to stay in the office. It can go out in the field, and if you think about it and really brainstorm, I'm sure your company could take it and give it to your technicians as well.
Right. Oh, well, last word of advice. Buy the insurance packages on these things. This is iPhone number 3, and this is iPad number 2. All right? So just buy the insurance. You'll be glad. All right?